story begins is I was brought up in a Christian home. I went to church. I was saved at 9 years old. I was baptized. I kind of got out of church when my parents were really bad alcoholics, and I kind of wanted to see what that lifestyle was about. So I got out of church, did things I wasn't proud of. I really turned away from the Lord when I lost my second son. I couldn't understand why God took my son from me. It was probably one of the hardest things, and I didn't understand why, if God loved me so much, that He would do such painful things to me. So I left the church. I didn't want nothing to do with God. I just lost hope in everything. Moved up to Oregon in 1998 to get away from the horrible past, and I wanted just to start something fresh. Moved up here and was with a gentleman for 15 years. Was diagnosed with a disease, a non-curable disease, and the day I was in the hospital, he came up and told me he did not want nothing to do with me. He was not going to take care of me. So once again, I didn't want nothing to do with God. I couldn't understand why God would make me be in love with somebody that didn't love me back. That's where I really went deep into just hating life, hating society, hating people, really hated men. Didn't want nothing to do with men, didn't even really want nothing to do with God. People would tell me about God, and I was like, God doesn't love me. I've been through so much. When I got out of the hospital and realized that I had no place to go, that's when I lived in my car for the 2 years. I'd pull out here in the parking lot after everybody was gone and make sure that everybody was gone, because I was terrified that you guys would call the cops on me and I wouldn't have nowhere to go. Sunday at church, I would go in here into the bathroom and I would wash up so I wouldn't smell. I felt safe in the church to a certain point, and when church service was over, I would sit for the second service just so I could sit with some friends that I knew that came here. And one day, you guys had something going on here at the church, and I was terrified that I was going to get caught. So I went to Walmart and slept in Walmart, and I think it was 7 degrees that night. I had no gas in my car to run the heater, so I was freezing. So I actually went into Walmart, and I ran into some church members, and they asked me what I was doing, and I couldn't lie to them no more. They asked me what I was doing, and I just told them I was just going into Walmart to go shopping. And they kind of knew that something was wrong, but I didn't really explain to them what was going on. And that day, after I got done talking to them, I went back out to my car, and I thought about just ending my life, because I was ashamed. Here I was, I had a business, I had a house, I had 5 cars, and I lost everything. I didn't have, not even clothes on my back. I'd have to go to the mission to beg for money, just to try to get gas money. I don't have family here. My son was in the Air Force, he was gone. He couldn't help me. My daughter was out of town, so I really had no one. I tried ending my life because I couldn't deal with it no more. I was tired of the pain that I'd went through. So I ended up in respite for a week, and when they told me that it was time for me to leave respite, I really started wondering where I was going to go, because my car had been repoed, didn't have nowhere to go. And that's when I ran into 2 church members here. I ran into them at Walmart parking lot, and they offered their home to me. And I owe just about everything that I do to them 2 people, and it was Jay and Cheryl Fuller. And they invited me into their home, and Cheryl sat and talked to me about God. And she kept telling me, don't give up, don't give up. When I did try to commit suicide, I kept hearing this little voice like, don't give up. And I was just to the point that I wanted to give up. I didn't want this pain no more. It was the awfulest pain I'd ever felt. I was alone. I didn't have no one. And when I ended up out Jay and Cheryl's house, they introduced me to some of the Bible teachings that they had done. And, Cheryl always told me, don't give up, Cassie, don't give up. And I'm like, Cheryl, I can't do this. She goes, yeah, you can. She goes, God's got a plan for you. I was like, Cheryl, God already told me his plan, and that was just nothing but heartache. I lost my son. I lost everything that I had. I said, that's not what I want from God. She goes, don't give up. You study that Bible, you pray. And every Sunday I'd be here at church. First service, second service, night service, because this is where I felt safe at. And so the more I started reading that Bible, the more I started realizing that, you know what, maybe God does have some plan for me. Well, I kept trying to find a place to live and didn't have a job. So you can't find a place to live with no job. Couldn't even get food stamps because I didn't have a place to live. Then I kept sitting and asking God, okay, God, what do you want from me? I'd sit there and study the Bible, and if I'd have questions, Cheryl would answer it for me, and we'd pray. And then one day, I can't even explain. I went to the Klamath Basin Behavioral Health to try to get some help. I don't know, I said a prayer before I went in there, me and Cheryl did, and I go in there and they said, well, guess what? We have a program that you might be able to fit into, and it was for housing. And so I finally got into a house through KBBH. Still struggled, still was fighting depression, still was like, okay, God, you got me here in this place around no one. I was on a third floor of an apartment, and there was a bunch of drugs on the bottom, and it was not a very safe place. But I knew, Cheryl kept saying, God's got you here for a reason. So I just kept clinging to that hope. And she kept saying, when you get depressed, read that Bible. Just study that Bible. So I'd ask her, where do I study at? She goes, you start at the New Testament and you just read it straight through. So I did. I'd start reading that Bible, and I'd start seeing a little bit of God's goodness. I got food stamps. To me, that was the biggest thing, because I was physically starving, but I got on food stamps. And then I was like, okay. I said, and then Cheryl goes, now, what do you want next? And I said, I just want God just to use me some way. So next thing I know is I'm still studying that Bible, and I'm still, talking to God. And then I told God, well, what's your plan for me? Next thing I know is I got a job. I have never, I kept applying places and no one would ever hire me. Well, God got me a job up at KBBH in peer support. So now I'm a peer support specialist. And now, after I've been up there 9 months now, I got my own place where I can feel safe. I pay my own bills. The biggest thing for me is I trusted God, where before I didn't even want no part of God. And now I have a passion to just seek everything that I can. Bibles, I read all kinds of Bibles. I study, listen to the ministry on TV. If I can't go to church, I have to make sure I live stream it. It's just been an incredible journey that I knew that if I had ever given up, I wouldn't be here now. And I'm just so blessed just to know where God has put me, and just all the turmoil that I went through. I was ridiculed a lot because well, why can't you do this by yourself? I tried to do it by myself. I couldn't do it by myself. And that's where it finally sunk in that I needed God. And once I trusted God, I'm just I've got a happiness now that, I love life. I'm glad I had that little voice tell me, don't give up, don't give up. I never knew what that little voice was, and Cheryl finally told me one day, it's the Holy Spirit talking to you. I was like, the Holy Spirit, what's that? I don't want no spirits in my life. She goes, no, it's good, Cassie. So I was like, okay, Holy Spirit, come in and talk to me. So once she kind of taught me how to talk to and listen to the Holy Spirit, there ain't no stopping me now. I'm so excited. And I have such a passion for life right now that I never have had before. I was so hateful towards the world that I don't even know how I even honestly made it this far with all the stuff that I've been through. You know, now I have a passion for life, and I want to be able to tell my story to women. I want to be able to tell people, don't give up. Even though it's hard, and I mean 2 years I struggled. I've been ridiculed. I've been told I was no good, that I should have committed suicide. And I never give up. I never give up. And once I didn't give up, when I wake up in the morning now and I can go to this job and I have my own place, I thank God every morning for not giving up on me and loving me unconditionally. And I know now from reading scriptures and stuff, He never passed judgment on me. He did this for a plan, and I totally understand that now. But just stick with Him. Just trust in Him. Once you trust in Him, it's like a floodgates of just holy goodness is what I say, man. Just the world, just, it's so much brighter, and it's just not, there is dark spots in the world, but not when you trust in Him. It's amazing. I'm so thankful that I didn't give up, or God didn't give up on me, and you guys didn't turn me in, and I'm just so thankful for all that.